skill development, Shri Vijaypal Singh Tomar.
आपकी अनुमति से मैं आज की कार्यसूची में अपने नाम के सामने अंकित श्रम और रोजगार मंत्रालय से संबंधित कर्मचारी राज्य बीमा निगम ईएसआई योजना के तहत प्रयोजक और हितलाभ ईएसआई अस्पतालों का कार्यकरण और कानूनी निधि प्रबंधन विषय के संबंध में विभाग संबंधी श्रम वस्त्र और कौशल विकास संबंधी संसदीय स्थायी समिति 2022-23 के 91वें प्रतिवेदन की एक प्रति अंग्रेजी तथा हिंदी में सभा पटल पर रखता हूं।
Reports of the Committee on Public Accounts, Shri Shakti Singh Gohil.
With your kind permission, I rise to lay the Hindi and English version of the report number 74th and 75th of Public Accounts Committee 2023-2024. As listed against my name in today's list business at serial number 3B, 1. 74th report on groundwater management and regulation. 2. 75th report on issues related to cultural institutions. Thank you, sir.
Statement by Minister, correcting answer to question, Dr. Subhas Sarkar.
आदरणीय सभापति महोदय, आपकी अनुमति से आज की कार्यसूची के क्रम संख्या 4 पर मेरे नाम के आगे उल्लिखित कार्य में 29 मार्च 2023 को पूछे गए अतारांकित प्रश्न संख्या 3231 देश में विद्यार्थियों द्वारा की जाने वाले आत्महत्याएं के उत्तर में शुद्धिकरण के बारे में वक्तव्य देता हूं। नमस्कार।
Honorable members, I have to inform honorable members that the Business Advisory Committee in its meeting held today on the 20th September 2023 has allotted time for government legislative business as follows. Consideration and passing of the Post Office Bill 2023, time allotted 2 hours. Consideration and passing of the Constitution 128th Amendment Bill 2023, after it is considered and passed by Lok Sabha, time allotted 7.5 hours. Honorable members, I may inform you that the chamber, lobby and galleries referred to in the rules of procedure and conduct of business in the Council of States Rajya Sabha shall mean, honorable members may take note of it, shall mean the chamber, lobby and galleries of the Parliament House of India as notified on 18th September 2023. Honorable members may further note the lobby has extended or elongated areas that are to be used as sitting lounges by the honorable members. Accordingly, the said areas shall also be included in the definition of lobby for the purpose of the rules. Honorable members, I have received one notice under Rule 176 for short duration discussion. The same is from Shri A.A. Rahim, CPIM. The notice is under my active consideration. Honorable members, it gives me immense pride that we are going to have a discussion on the achievements of Bharat in space exploration to commemorate the glorious accomplishments of our space scientists. From the inception of our space program, we have consistently pushed the boundaries of space exploration and our achievements in this domain. These have catapulted the nation onto the global center stage. From Chandrayaan missions to the Moon, Mars, orbiter mission, Mangalyaan, and Aditya L1 solar exploration, India has shown to the world that the sky is not the limit, it is just the beginning. Over the span of nearly 6 decades, India's space program has seen the country evolve from a nation relying on foreign launch vehicles to becoming fully self-reliant with its indigenous launch capabilities. Notably, India has not only developed the capacity to launch its own satellites, but has also extended its services to launch satellites for other countries. Honorable members, from January 2018 to November 2022, the ISRO achieved a significant milestone by successfully launching a total of 177 foreign satellites from a diverse array of countries. So far, we have launched 424 foreign satellites, of which more than 90%, 389, were launched in the last 9 years. We have launched satellites of USA, 231, UK, 86, and Singapore, 20. They are the top 3 beneficiaries of India's international cooperation in this sector. Having diligently attended to our country's development needs through our space endeavors and enhancing communication infrastructure to enabling remote sensing and weather forecasting, it is only but natural that we now decisively turn our focus towards the uncharted realms of planetary exploration and deep space missions. With the latest successful Chandrayaan-3 mission, India's space agency, ISRO, has etched its name in the annals of space exploration. India is only the 4th country in history to have soft-landed a spacecraft on the moon, and the first to have done so in the moon's south polar region. Exhibiting tremendous tenacity and turning failures into stepping stones for future success, ISRO took away the right lessons from preceding Chandrayaan-2 mission. Honorable members, as Governor of the State of West Bengal, I was in the Science City, Kolkata, on 7 December 2019, past midnight, with a group of young boys and girls. The landing was not soft. I had then remarked that Chandrayaan-2 was a major success, though was not 100%. The lessons we had learned from this mission helped us to see ultimate success in Chandrayaan-3. With this achievement, India is now a member of the Artemis Accords, the US-led multilateral initiative to place humans on the moon by 2025, and subsequently advance human space exploration throughout our solar system's broader vicinity. Honorable members, our achievements reach beyond the lunar surface. India's Mars orbiter mission, unofficially known as Mangalyaan, showcased our ability to reach the red planet on our maiden attempt. The Mangalyaan spacecraft successfully entered Mars orbit on September 23, 2014, making ISRO only the first Asian and the 4th country in the world to do so, and it achieved this feat with unparalleled cost effectiveness. Just as we were celebrating the achievements of Chandrayaan-3, mission, ISRO unveiled yet another ambitious endeavor, the Aditya L1 mission. Launched just last week, this mission seeks to gain a deeper understanding of the Sun from a unique vantage point approximately 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth that allows for continuous and uninterrupted study of the Sun. With this mission, India is poised to join an exclusive group of countries dedicated to the study of our nearest star, the Sun. Following its successful missions to explore the Sun and the Moon, ISRO has an array of exciting future endeavors. I am delighted to know that it is now setting its sights on the second most scorching planet in our solar system, Venus. Sukryan-1, ISRO's upcoming spacecraft, will likely be launched by end of December 2024. Our scientists and engineers have meticulously crafted Sukryan-1 to withstand the extreme conditions of Venus and to operate under the most challenging circumstances. With 3 more launches on the horizon spanning this year, and the next ISRO is positioned advanced Earth monitoring, demonstrate advanced capabilities for precision proximity operations in space, and explore some of the most enigmatic objects in the universe. Having said that, honorable members, I believe ISRO's journey into space exploration has been nothing short of extraordinary. Its achievements in reaching uncharted territories in space garnered international attention. What truly sets ISRO apart, however, is its ability to achieve these remarkable feats at a fraction of the cost when compared to some of the world's other major space agencies, such as NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA. Emphasis on indigenization of critical components and reducing reliance on imports has been a critical aspect of its cost-effective approach and has indeed sparked discussion within the international space community. Taking a giant leap forward, a brighter, more innovative and economically robust future in space exploration, the Indian space policy of 2023 welcomes private enterprises into the realm of space exploration. It acknowledges that the private sector possesses the innovative spark, the entrepreneurial spirit, and the financial acumen to propel India's space ambitions to greater heights. The implications, honorable members, of this decision are profound. India's journey in space exploration is indeed a matter of national pride. As we look forward to many more chapters of discovery, innovation, and global collaboration in the thrilling saga of space exploration, let us celebrate Bharat's unstoppable journey to greatness. I now invite the Honorable Leader of the House, Shri Piyush Goyal, to initiate the discussion on India's glorious space journey marked by successful soft landing of Chandrayaan-3.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, sir. It's indeed a matter of great pride for the entire nation and for all of us in this august house that you have permitted this subject to be taken up as the very first subject in the new precincts, and truly something which makes every single Indian, 140 crore Indians, proud of their scientists, proud of their Indian industry who has contributed in big measure to various components that have come into the entire mission. And today, as I stand before you, I think this is one moment in history that will be etched for generations to come as the turning point in which India truly entered the space age as one of the top 4 countries in the world. And then, as you very rightly pointed out, Chairman Sir, the fact that we were the first country in the world to land on the south pole of the moon is by itself giving us a completely new and elevated pleasure. Honorable Chairman Sir, ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, has truly, by scripting this glorious chapter to India's space journey and proving that even the sky is not the limit for India, really made the entire nation very, very proud and scripted this new space journey. Honorable Chairman, Sir, the successful landing of Chandrayaan-3 is a trailblazing event which happened over years of consistent focus on the subject, a lot of research, a lot of effort, a lot of successes, a lot of failures. And this has been one area in which India has progressed from step to step. Every time, even we have taken adversity that the mission faced, in its stride, learned from our failures, made failure the stepping stone to success, and finally, the historic achievement of the landing is a matter of great pride for every Indian. In fact, 3 lunar missions in 15 years, it almost feels as if the moon is beckoning India, as if the moon is awaiting India, and more particularly so when we see the images coming out from there, when we see the messages that ISRO comes out, I think each successive success is strengthening our resolve to capture the space. Honorable Deputy Chairman, Sir, today we stand before the world unlocking new avenues of scientific discovery with a new confidence, the self-confidence of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-confidence of a country which produces the highest number of STEM graduates in the world, the self-confidence of a country which today stands before the world with one of the lowest cost missions and one of the most effective and speedy successes that any other country could have achieved. I remember that picture where in the Chandrayaan-2 mission, where after having almost come so close to the surface of the moon, for a small technical reason we were not successful, a lot of naysayers had started trying to run down the Indian mission, run down ISRO, run down our scientists. And for all those naysayers, for all those people who have this negativity about India, जो नकारात्मक सोच के लोग हैं, उन सब के लिए उस दिन सबक था, जैसे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने गले लगाया उस समय के इसरो के चेयरमैन को, उनको उनकी क्षमता के ऊपर उनको बधाई देते हुए आगे के लिए, आगे की चुनौतियों के लिए उनको तैयार किया, उनको उनका आत्मविश्वास बढ़ाया, उनको प्रोत्साहित किया। मैं समझता हूँ वो जो चित्र है वो देश के 140 करोड़ लोगों के जहन में, उनके दिल में, उनके मन में बस गया है। और उस दिन के उस प्रोत्साहन को, उस दिन के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के वाक्यों को जैसे उन्होंने पूरे जी जान से अपने जीवन का एक अंश बना लिया और अपने जीवन का मिशन पर आते हुए जिस प्रकार से आगे चले, इतने कम समय में उसके बाद चंद्रयान-3 का सक्सेस G20 के थोड़े ही दिन पहले, मैं समझता हूं पूरे देश के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है। मुझे ध्यान है कि जयपुर में हमारी G20 की ट्रेड एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट मिनिस्टर्स की, वाणिज्य और निवेश के मंत्रियों की बैठक चल रही थी। बैठक 24 और 25 अगस्त को होनी थी। उसी की पूर्व संध्या पे 23 अगस्त को ये हमने सभी ने मिलके एक साथ जब मून लैंडिंग देखी चंद्रयान 3 की, जो गौरव हम सबको महसूस हुआ, जिस प्रकार से पूरा देश गौरवान्वित हो रहा था उस दिन, मैं समझता हूँ वो इतना इन्फेक्चुअस था, उसका प्रभाव विदेश से आए हुए मंत्रियों के ऊपर भी इतना गहरा था कि लगभग विश्व के सभी बड़ी ताकतों के नेता, सभी बड़े देशों के वाणिज्य और उद्योग से संबंधित, निवेश से संबंधित मंत्रियों ने अपने अपने भाषण में, हमारी मीटिंग में, हर एक ने एक स्वर में भारत की तारीफ की, भारत की उपलब्धता को बहुत ही विशेष बताया, बहुत ही साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी के लिए, हमारी साइंटिफिक अचीवमेंट के लिए भारत की सराहना की और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को बधाई दी। उस मौके पे भी G20 की मीटिंग में दुनिया भर के नेताओं ने कि अब भारत, इंडिया इज ट्रूली अराइव्ड एट द वर्ल्ड स्टेज, अब भारत विश्व पटल पे अपनी छाप छोड़ रहा है और ये मैसेज आज भारत से बढ़ के पूरे विश्व में गया कि भारत अब बड़ी बड़ी चुनौतियों को सफलतापूर्वक भी पूरा कायम कर सकता है, सफलता प्राप्त कर सकता है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि पहले हम सुनते थे US, USSR, चाइना, ऐसे देशों ने हजारों लाख करोड़ रुपए खर्च के ये एक मिशंस किए थे। भारत एक ऐसा देश है जिसने बहुत कम खर्चे पर, बहुत कम लागत पर और अधिकांश जो उसमें पुर्जे लगे वो भारत में बनने के कारण, मेक इन इंडिया के जो जोर लगाया गया उसके कारण आज भारत को एक अलग ही श्रेणी में लेके जाता है। अब कई देश, और उस मीटिंग के दौरान भी कई देश के मंत्रियों ने मुझसे साझा बातचीत की कि अब वो भी चाहते हैं कि स्पेस मिशन में हमारे साथ जुड़ें, वो भी चाहते हैं कि उनके भी जो फ्यूचर स्पेस प्लान्स हैं उसमें भारत के साथ साझा भागीदारी करना चाहते हैं, पार्टनरशिप करना चाहते हैं, सीखना चाहते हैं और जॉइंट एंडेवर्स आगे चल के बढ़ाना चाहते हैं स्पेस की तरफ। ठीक है माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, जो दोनों मिशन लाइफ हुए लैंडर और रोवर के, इसका जो सराहना हमने अलग अलग पत्रकारों में देखी, उसके 3 प्रमुख जो उद्देश्य थे, 3 मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ चंद्रयान 3, वो तीनों इतनी सफलतापूर्वक, इतने प्रिसिशन से, एग्जैक्ट 6:04 पे जो लैंडिंग हुई, वो तीनों जो हमारे लक्ष्य थे, एक था कि सेफ एंड सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग हो मून सरफेस के ऊपर, दूसरा था कि हम डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कर सके, दिखा सके रोवर ऑपरेशंस, जो मून पे रोवर बाहर निकला और उसने जो ऑपरेशंस करी, और ऑन साइट एक्सपेरिमेंट्स जो लूनर सरफेस पे करने थे। ये तीनों पे 100% सफलता प्राप्त करना ये हम सबका सौभाग्य है। और मैं अपने पूरे सदन के मेंबर्स की तरफ से आपके माध्यम से प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को, जो टीम स्पेस और साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की केंद्र में और राज्यों में इस विषय के ऊपर चिंता करती है, और जो पूरा इसरो की टीम है जिसने इस पे दिन रात मेहनत करके, विशेषकर जो हमारी महिला साइंटिस्ट हैं उनको मैं विशेष करके धन्यवाद भी देता हूं, उनको बधाई भी देता हूं। हमने देखा है गत दिनों में कैसे महिला साइंटिस्ट ने एक प्रमुख भूमिका निभाई है हमारे अलग अलग स्पेस मिशंस में, और ये महिला साइंटिस्ट आज वास्तव में भारत का गौरव बनी है। और मुझे लगता है हम उसका एक प्रकार से उनको धन्यवाद के रूप में तोहफा आज लोकसभा में, और उम्मीद करते हैं कि वहाँ से पास होके आज रात तक आ जाए यहाँ, तो कल राज्यसभा में हम जब महिला आरक्षण पास करेंगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट बिल पास करेंगे, मैं समझता हूँ एक सही मायने में हमारी बहनों के लिए, हमारी माताओं के लिए, हमारी छोटी बिटियाओं के लिए, जिन्होंने इतने बड़े लक्ष्य प्राप्त करने में अपना अमिट छाप छोड़ी है, इतना बड़ा योगदान दिया है, वो भी एक पूरे देश और विश्व को मैसेज जाएगा कि ये देश बहुत कृतज्ञ देश है। ये देश महिलाओं के सम्मान करने में कोई कटौती नहीं करता और आगे चल के महिलाओं को और बड़े रूप में इस देश के विकास की प्रवाह में जोड़ने के लिए अहम कदम उठा रहे हैं। माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, ये जो विक्रम लैंडर था, जो प्रज्ञान रोवर था और जो प्रोपल्शन मॉड्यूल था, ये भारत में बना। मुझे याद है 2014 में जब मेक इन इंडिया का माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आह्वान किया था, तब कई सारी टिप्पणियां आती थी कि ये मेक इन इंडिया सफल नहीं हो रहा है, मेक इन इंडिया में क्या हो रहा है, क्या नई चीज करी। पीछे भी हाल में भी कुछ दिनों पहले एक नेता का बयान मैं पढ़ रहा था, जो एक प्रकार से बड़े ओछे शब्दों में बहुत छोटे स्तर पर मेक इन इंडिया के मजाक उड़ाने की कोशिश हो रही थी। मैं समझता हूं हमारे इस मिशन ने, चंद्रयान 3 ने और इसरो की कामयाबी ने एक पूरी तरीके से सिद्ध कर दिया कि भारत में बना हुआ सामान, भारत में बने हुए पुर्जे, भारत में बने हुए अलग अलग जो इस पूरे मिशन में कंपोनेंट्स लगे, इक्विपमेंट लगा, इसने इस देश को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाया। और आज पूरा विश्व भारत की तरफ देखता है, जब वो देखते हैं कि हमें मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेबिलिटीज चाहिए, हमें टैलेंट चाहिए, हमें स्किल्स चाहिए, तो उनको एक देश जो नजर आता है, विश्वसनीय देश, एक विश्वसनीय साझेदारी में भाग लेने वाला पार्टनर, तो वो भारत है। और भारत के ऊपर आज विश्व की भी निगाहें टिकी हुई है, विश्व का विश्वास बना हुआ है। माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, अगर हम डिजाइन कैपेबिलिटीज देखें, तो जो डिजाइन कैपेबिलिटीज डेवलप हुई हैं चंद्रयान 3 के दौरान, उससे हमें आगे चल के बहुत लाभ होगा। और हमने अलग अलग तरीके से देखा है कि स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का लाभ भारत की विकास यात्रा में सिर्फ स्पेस नहीं, लेकिन हमारी लोकल डेवलपमेंट में भी बहुत बड़ी तरीके से लाभ देता है। जैसे कि माननीय सदस्य जानते हैं, आप भी भली भांति आपने देखा है, पीएम गति शक्ति, ये क्या है? ये एक प्रकार से स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करते हुए भारत के आधारभूत सुविधाएं, भारत के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को और मजबूती देना और गति देना और प्रगति को तेज करना, उसका एक साधन है। पीएम गति शक्ति में स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी इस्तेमाल करके अलग अलग लेयर्स ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, अलग अलग लेयर्स ऑफ डेटा जो तैयार किया गया, जो स्पेस से मैपिंग की गई, और इसका काम माननीय उप सभापति जी, प्रधानमंत्री जी जब मुख्यमंत्री थे, गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे, आज से 12-14 साल पहले उनके मन में एक कल्पना आई थी कि स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का मैक्सिमम इस्तेमाल भारत में कैसे किया जाए, भारत कैसे लाभ ले सकता है स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का। तब उन्होंने बाइजैक नामक एक संस्था गांधीनगर में एस्टैब्लिश करी और बाइजैक के माध्यम से ये शुरुआत करी कि कैसे भारत के आगे के भविष्य के विकास यात्रा में आधुनिक सुविधाएं और सफलतापूर्वक हम भारत को एक इंटरनेशनल सेंटर फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ट्रेड एंड बिजनेस बना सके। लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को नौकरियां देने के लिए जो हम काम कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करने का जीता जागता उदाहरण अगर कुछ है तो पीएम गति शक्ति है। तो इस प्रकार से स्पेस से जो जो हम सीखेंगे, जो जो चंद्रयान 3 की उपलब्धियां होंगी, उससे आगे चल के भारत में जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, भारत में किस प्रकार से आगे हमें क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स रिसोर्सेज पे काम करना है, अलग अलग तरीके से ये स्पेस का रिसर्च भारत को नई ऊंचाइयों तक लेके जाएगा। और मेरा विश्वास है कि इस उपलब्धि में हम सब मिलके जो आगे के बड़े एम्बिशियस प्लान्स हैं, जो योजनाएं हैं, जो हमारी दूरदर्शी सोच है देश की कि कैसे स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी और हमारे स्पेस मिशंस भारत को आगे लेके जाने में काम करेंगे। ये जो नया उत्साहित भारत है, ये जो एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया की नई आकांक्षाएं हैं, इसको पूरा करने में गगनयान, चंद्रयान के बाद आने वाला जो गगनयान मिशन है, जो लगभग 2024 में अनुमानित प्लान है, उसको भी हम कैसे सफल बनाएंगे, उसके लिए हम सब ने इसरो को शुभकामनाएं देनी है। हम सब मिलके एक संदेशा दें कि आगे आने वाले गगनयान के लिए भी इसरो सफल हो, पूरी तरीके से सफल हो। हमारी माता बहनें, हमारे इसरो के साइंटिस्ट जो पूरी लगन के साथ इसमें लगे हुए हैं, उनको हम यहाँ से एक शुभ संदेश दें कि उनका गगनयान मिशन भी सफल हो। हमने ऑलरेडी देखा आदित्य मिशन, जो आदित्य L1 जो सूरज के और भारत के बीच में, जो अर्थ और सन के बीच में, यहाँ से लगभग 15 लाख किलोमीटर दूरी पे जाके स्टेशन होगा, जो लैग्रैंज पॉइंट है, वहाँ से स्टडी करेगा सूर्य की किरणों की ताकत, सूर्य की ताकत को। तो उस पॉइंट तक सफलतापूर्वक पहुँचे, वो रास्ते में है, उसका लॉन्च सक्सेसफुली हो चुका है और वो पहला डेडिकेटेड स्पेसक्राफ्ट मिशन है जो सूर्य को स्टडी करने के लिए यहाँ से भेजा गया है। इसी के साथ साथ एक डेडिकेटेड पोलरीमेट्री मिशन एक्सपोसैट, जो एक्सरे के माध्यम से पोलरोमीटर सैटेलाइट के रूप में बाहर काम करेगा। इस तरीके से हमारी जो नए नए आगे की योजनाएं हैं, उसके लिए हम सब मिलके इस सदन से एक स्वर में एक बड़ा अच्छा संदेश और शुभकामनाएं भेजें। तो एक तरफ बधाई चंद्रयान 3 के सफलता के लिए, दूसरी तरफ शुभेच्छा आगे के बड़े बड़े लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के लिए। ये जब एक स्वर में पूरा सदन ये मैसेज भेजेगा, तो मैं समझता हूं कि सभी जो इस मिशन के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का प्रोत्साहन हो, चाहे हमारे अफसरगण हो, चाहे इसरो के साइंटिस्ट हो, हर एक व्यक्ति जो अलग अलग इन मिशंस में अपने अपने पुर्जे, अपने अपने कंपोनेंट्स, इक्विपमेंट्स बना के योगदान दे रहे हैं और एक प्रकार से 140 करोड़ देशवासियों का उत्साहवर्धन करने का काम आज पहले ही सिटिंग में, कल पहली सिटिंग थी, आज पहले ही डिस्कशन में हम ये जो संदेश देने जा रहे हैं, ये भी बड़ा शुभ संदेश है। कल यहाँ पे महिलाओं को आरक्षण देने का काम भी मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि सर्वसम्मति से जब ये सदन पास करेगा, पारित करेगा, तो दो शुभ संदेश, एक तरफ यहाँ का हमारा प्रवेश, आज का ये चंद्रयान 3 का बधाई का और शुभकामनाओं का मैसेज इसरो को, और तीसरा कल महिलाओं को, हमारी माता बहनों को आगे की जो लेजिस्लेटिव भारत की प्रवाह है, जो भारत के आगे आने वाले दिनों में अमृत काल में विकसित भारत बनाने की जो जर्नी रहेगी, उसमें हमारी माता बहनों का, महिलाओं का आरक्षण देके इस सदन पार्लियामेंट में और ज़्यादा योगदान मिले, उसके लिए जो हम कदम उठाने जा रहे हैं, मैं समझ पार्लियामेंट, लोकसभा में और असेंबलीज में, दोनों में जो हम कदम उठाने जा रहे हैं, ये तीनों ये शुभ संदेश एक प्रकार से एक नई सुबह लेके इस सेशन को भी यादगार बनाएगा। ये नई सुबह देश की अमृत काल की यात्रा में भी हम सब के लिए ऐतिहासिक क्षण बनेगी और हम सब इसके साक्षी हैं, हम सब इसमें भाग ले रहे हैं। ये हम सबका बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है। आपने मुझे इस चर्चा को शुरू करने के लिए मौका दिया, इसके लिए मैं आपका आभारी हूँ। बहुत बहुत
धन्यवाद। माननीय पीयूष गोयल जी। माननीय श्री जयराम रमेश जी।
Thank you, sir. Sir, I rise to speak on a discussion that is entitled India's Glorious Space Journey Marked by Successful Soft Landing of Chandrayaan-3. Sir, listening to the Leader of the House, it appeared as if this glorious space journey started only in 2014. Yes. And that the Sutradhar of this space journey is the Prime Minister. I want to take this occasion, sir, to revisit this glorious space journey, not to make political debating points, but to pay tribute to a remarkable generation of Indian scientists and technologists who could have worked anywhere in the world, but chose to come back to India in the 1950s and 1960s. Sir, I have before me a government order issued on the 22nd of February 1962. This is the 22nd of February 1962, an office order issued by the Government of India, which reads that the Union government has set up the Indian National Committee for Space Research. The committee, set up on the recommendations of the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet, will advise the government on the promotion of research in and exploration of space and its utilization of peaceful purposes. India's glorious space journey began on the 22nd of February 1962, which was marked by the establishment of the Indian National Committee on Space Research. There were two people who were responsible for getting this INCOSPAR set up. Both were the great scientists of India. One was Homi Bhabha, who was then the chairman of the Scientific Advisory to the Committee to the Cabinet, and the second was Vikram Sarabhai, a great name, a man who had a vision for Indian space, and I expected the Honorable Leader of the House at least to make a passing mention of Vikram Sarabhai. Sir, I'm not yielding. I'm not yielding. Please. Sir, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before INCOSPAR was set up that the Prime Minister of India, the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, went to Ahmedabad to visit the physical research laboratory that was created by Vikram Sarabhai way back in 1947. Sir, this is a photograph I have of Pandit Nehru with Vikram Sarabhai and E.V. Chitnis in the old Parliament House. You could have seen this photograph, but in this new Parliament House, we need a telescope to see each other. I don't have a telescope, sir, but you can take me for my word. This is a photograph of the Prime Minister of India with Vikram Sarabhai and Professor E.V. Chitnis, who is 97 years old and is still alive. He is one of the key figures in this space journey. And in fact, Professor Chitnis's greatest contribution to our space program was the recruitment of a young engineer from the Madras Institute of Technology named APJ Abdul Kalam. Sir, after the establishment of INCOSPAR on the 22nd of February 1962, the second milestone in this glorious space journey was on the 21st of November 1963, when India launched its sounder rocket from Thumba, near Trivandrum. This was called TERLS, the Thumba Equatorial Research Launching Station. This was the first sounding rocket launched way back on the 21st of November 1963. And this was made possible because of Vikram Sarabhai, because of H.G.K. Murthy, because of Abdul Kalam, because of E.V. Chitnis, and a large number of scientists and technologists. So ISRO was created on the 15th of August 1969. This was when Vikram Sarabhai created the Indian Space Research Organization to give a developmental boost to the Indian space program. So the Indian space program is the only program in the world that has not come out of the military sector. It has been a civilian program all through. The Indian space program is the only program to have a developmental thrust. The use of space for remote sensing, the use of space for rural development, the use of space for communication, for weather forecasting. This is being the hallmark of India's space program going back to the creation of ISRO on the 15th of August 1969. So, on the 25th of December 1971, unfortunately, Vikram Sarabhai passed away very suddenly at the young age of 52. He died of a heart attack in Kovalam Beach, near Trivandrum. The Indian space program was then faced with a huge crisis. It had lost its Karta Data. It had lost its Nirmata. It had lost its visionary, Vikram Sarabhai, who had lived and dreamt of India as a space power. It was then that the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, took what I consider to be the most important step that has made India the space power that we are all proud of today. So she wrote a letter to an Indian scientist who was then taking a sabbatical at the famous California Institute of Technology in Pasadena in California. The name of this scientist is Satish Dhawan, and it is in his honor that our launch center in Sriharikota is called the Satish Dhawan Launch Center. Sir, Indira Gandhi wrote a letter on the 7th of January 1972, and I wish to quote a few lines from this letter. This is the Prime Minister of India writing, "Dear Dr. Dhawan, Vikram's sudden and tragic death has deprived our entire space research program of leadership. You are aware of the heavy investment we have made in it. The 10-year profile of the development of space shows the extent of our commitment. We cannot afford to allow the entire organization to crumble. I should like you to accept the stewardship of our space program, which I am proposing to separate from the Atomic Energy Commission. Till 1972, space and atomic energy were together. But it is in 1972 that space gets separated from the Atomic Energy Commission. It will be for you to structure this new organization. Please let me know urgently when I may expect you to return and what arrangements you would like us to make for the interim period. I hope you will respond to an emergency situation in a sensitive area of national importance." This is a letter written by the Prime Minister of India to a scientist taking a sabbatical in California, who was then the director of the Indian Institute of Science, Satish Dhawan. Sir, Satish Dhawan immediately accepted the offer of the Prime Minister. He put some conditions that he would like ISRO to be headquartered in Bangalore. He would not like to be posted in New Delhi, that he would like to continue as the director of the Indian Institute of Science, and he would like full freedom to run ISRO the way it should be run. The Prime Minister of India accepted and acceded to all these conditions. So when he came back to India, when he took over as chairman of ISRO, her secretary, Mr. P.N. Haksar, sent Mrs. Gandhi a note. And I was fortunate enough to get a copy of this note in the archives. And Mr. Haksar wrote on the 25th of May 1972 to the Prime Minister, "Dr. Satish Dhawan is an extremely sensitive human being. Hitherto, he has led a relatively cloistered life, devoting himself to the pursuit of his own scientific specialty in the field of aerodynamics. I know he has many doubts and hesitations in accepting the responsibility of heading our space organization. And if he were to opt out of it, we literally have no one at present as the second best choice. It is therefore of vital importance that our Prime Minister should express in her own way her appreciation of the high sense of duty which has led Dr. Dhawan to respond to the PM's call to him. It is equally necessary to say that Dr. Dhawan will continue to receive her personal support in sorting out any problems he may run up against any administrative and other fields, and that Dr. Dhawan should not hesitate in coming to the Prime Minister, and that he will always have direct access. So it is from this day onwards that Prime Ministers of India have held direct control of the Department of Space. It is from this day onwards that the chairman of ISRO, the chairman of the Space Commission, the Secretary Department of Space, three roles combined in one individual, have only reported to the Prime Minister and nobody else. So the glorious space journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe started in 2014. The first milestone was on the 22nd of February, 1962. The glorious journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe started in 2014, had its second milestone on the 15th of August, 1969, with the creation of ISRO. The glorious journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe begins in 2014, had its third milestone in 1972, July, when Satish Dhawan became the chairman of ISRO. Sir, the success of Chandrayaan-3 is based on the competencies, the capabilities, the capacities that have been created over a 60-year period. We launched satellites, but we first launched satellites on Soviet rockets. We did not have a satellite launch vehicle. In July of 1979, our first SLV launch failed. Dr. Kalam was in tears. So Dr. Satish Dhawan said, "I am your leader. I will take responsibility for the failure. You sit at the back." That is leadership. In August of 1980, the SLV-3 succeeded. Dr. Dhawan said to Kalam, "Kalam, you take credit for this. I will sit at the back." This is leadership. Leadership is not taking credit when things are going good and run away when the things are going bad. Leadership is when you have the courage to take the responsibility for things that are going wrong as much as you take credit when things are going right. So this is the milestones of a successful journey, sir. There have been many scientists, and I want to recall. I have mentioned Homi Bhabha, I have mentioned Vikram Sarabhai, I have mentioned Abdul Kalam. There's a great scientist of India who is forgotten today. He is the only scientist who has worked and contributed for a nuclear program as well as for our space program. And if you go to the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram, you will see a statue of him in the space organization headquarters. His name is Brahma Prakash. He's probably one of the greatest metallurgists that India has produced. And he made a huge difference to our space program and to our atomic energy program. We have had a succession of chairmen. We had Satish Dhawan, U.R. Rao, Madhavan Nair, Kasturi Rangan, Radhakrishnan, Shivan, and now, of course, we have Somnath. Each of them have made contributions because the political leadership has given them the freedom to make those contributions. Sir, I also want to say that India's space program has always had a developmental orientation. It has always been space for development, space for communication, space for rural development, space for weather forecasting, space for identifying sources of water. Indian scientists and technologists have never seen India's space program as a symbol of Indian nationalism. It has always been seen in a developmental perspective. It has always been seen as an instrument of fulfilling developmental aspirations. And that's why we had INSAT, the Indian National Communication Satellite. And it is because of INSAT that we improved our weather forecasting. We located sources of water. We created new maps. We created platforms like Bhuvan. So while it is natural for all of us to take pride, I would like to urge all of us to please look at our space program fundamentally as an instrument of development and not as an instrument of muscular nationalism. This has been the hallmark of India's space program for the last 60 years. And let it be in that spirit with which it was founded by our scientists and technologists. Sir, I am entirely in agreement with the Prime Minister when he said yesterday that the Chandrayaan-3 achievement creates a new excitement for science. But sir, what is the point creating an excitement of science when you're removing Darwin's theory of evolution from textbooks? What is the importance of creating excitement of science when you reject Newton, you reject Einstein, you think all knowledge was available to India 2000 years ago? Sir, that is not a scientific temper. Scientific temper is the spirit of inquiry, is a spirit of questioning. We have had glorious tradition. We have had glorious tradition in mathematics. We have had a glorious tradition in metallurgy. We have a glorious tradition in astronomy. But, sir, let us take pride in our past, but let us not think that all of modern science, all of modern technology was known to us 2000 years ago. We have to move with the times. That is the scientific temper. That is the scientific spirit. If you reject science, if you do not give your scientific institutions freedom, if you do not allow scientific endeavor to flourish in a spirit of professionalism, you can have all the Chandrayans of the world, but it is not going to make a difference to the minds of the young. So we have to create a scientific spirit, the spirit of questioning, the spirit of inquiry, the spirit of doubt. That is the spirit of science, which I hope will be created by this excitement. So, along with Chandrayaan-3, let us not forget Chandrayaan-1. Chandrayaan-1 was launched in 2008. And I have no hesitation in saying that the first announcement of Chandrayaan was by Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee on the 15th of August in 2003. After 2003, you had Chandrayaan-1 in 2008, you had Chandrayaan-2 in 2019, and you have Chandrayaan-3 in 2023. What does it mean? It means there is continuity in governance. If a Prime Minister refuses to acknowledge continuity in governance, if a Prime Minister believes that the world has started only when I became Prime Minister, if a Prime Minister believes that Indian science has become great, that the Indian space program has become great only when I became Prime Minister, sir, I beg to differ. Let us take, along with Chandrayaan-1, Aditya L1, which was also a great success. We have not mentioned it in your resolution. But this Aditya L1, the solar laboratory, which was launched 1 week after Chandrayaan-3. So when did Aditya-1 start? Aditya-1 started in the year 2006. It took 17 years for Aditya-L1. Sir, can I finish? Sir, it took 17 years for Aditya-L1 to be conceived, to be planned, to be executed, and to be launched. The Honorable Leader of the House said, we are now making things in India. Sir, we have always been making things in India. Larsen & Toubro, Walchand Nagar Industries. There are so many Indian companies I can think of which have been associated with the Indian space program going back to the 70s. To say that suddenly after 2014, we have started making things for our space program is a complete distortion of facts. In fact, the Indian space program has always been based on creative partnerships with the Indian private sector and Indian public sector. Our nuclear reactors are made in India. Our rockets are made in India. Our launchers are made in India. Our satellites are made in India. And they were being made in India before 2014. Sir, I don't know what your intention is, whether you want to pass a resolution at the end of the discussion. But if you do want to pass, sir, let me finish, sir. If you do want to pass, please acknowledge that the capabilities, competencies, and capacities that have resulted in Chandrayaan-3's success are the results of investments made over the last 60 years. These are based on contributions of successive prime ministers. These are based on contributions of a large number of Indian scientists, large number of Indian technologists, many of whom we don't even know of, many of whom we don't even acknowledge. But I think today is the day when we should salute our Indian scientific community, our Indian technological community. So, it is the Indian scientists and Indian technologists who gave India the Green Revolution in the 1970s. It is Indian scientists and Indian technologists who gave India the White Revolution in the 1970s. It is Indian scientists and Indian technologists which have created our missile development program, the Agnis and the Prithvis and the Nags. And it is Indian scientists and Indian technologists who have given our space program the profile in the world that it has today. And I want to say one thing about these scientists and engineers, sir. So all the newspaper headlines, all our talk is based on our elite institutions of learning. I happen to come from one of them. But I have no hesitation in saying that the contributions in the space program have come from men and women who are graduates of government engineering colleges, of lesser known engineering colleges. They are not from IITs, they're not from IIMs, but they are from colleges in Kollam, colleges in Trivandrum, colleges in Surat, colleges in Baroda, colleges in Pune, colleges in Bhopal,
in Rajasthan,
colleges in Indore, colleges in Jaipur. This is what colleges in Chennai. Sir, this is the strength of Indian science. The strength of Indian science doesn't come from 5 institutes or 10 institutes or 15 institutes. The strength of Indian science comes from a very large population of engineering institutions, which we have to nurture, which we have to upgrade, which we have to recognize, and which we must give full freedom for them to operate. So, sir, I associate myself with the sentiments of the Leader of the House, who has not heard whatever I have said because he's been busy in conversation with the person next to him throughout. He has been busy in conversation throughout.
No. Take a
Sir,
Jairam, now you have made a reflection. Let him react. He has. And before that, Jairam was on right track. Jairam, you were on right track. But when I took the seat, you got little political.
What is this?
From science, you traveled to politics.
Sir, I had got up in between also. Unfortunately, Jairam thought, Honorable Chairman, sir.
You are a politicalized.
सर हमारा पुराना रिश्ता है सर, हमारा पुराना रिश्ता है और ये बड़े इन्होंने कुछ साल पहले आइंस्टाइन और न्यूटन को कंफ्यूज भी कर दिया था।
पुराना
उसको
रिश्ता,
याद नहीं दिलाऊंगा उनको।
पुराना रिश्ता,
पर आज उनसे भाषण सुनना पड़ा, प्रवचन सुनना पड़ा।
पुराना
हमारे
रिश्ता,
स्पेस प्रोग्राम का क्या उपलब्धियां हैं।
पुराना रिश्ता और पुराना घाव मीठा दर्द देता है।
Sir, I associate myself with the Leader of the House. We acknowledge, we salute, we applaud ISRO, the past members of ISRO family, the present members of ISRO family. We congratulate our Indian scientists. We congratulate our Indian technologists. I am sure that many more achievements are there in the years to come. But sir, I will only end by pleading that we need to give our scientific and technological institutions full freedom. We need to give our scientific and technological institutions full independence and professionalism. And we need to free our scientific and technological institutions of any political patronage and political interference and political intervention. So let us on that thought, acknowledge the glorious space journey that we have had. And let us also acknowledge the milestones that we have gone through, even though the Prime Minister and the Leader of the House may choose to airbrush them away from history. They are a fact of life. They cannot be erased from history. They are very much part of our space journey. I thought that it is important for me to remind the House where we have come from, the journey that we have taken, the achievements that we have had, the people who have contributed, rather than fall victim to this new impression that has been created that this entire accomplishment of Chandrayaan-3 and Aditya L1 is the result of only one individual. Thank you, sir.
Sri Jawar, okay.
Got up as soon as Jairam initiated, and you're right, he started on the right track. I got up, unfortunately, he did yield, only to say I fully agree with him and associate with him when he was talking about the journey. But now, since he has also taken it to a political level, I have only two comments to make, sir. Of course, the journey is extremely important. We have all assembled here. We are all going to speak about various aspects of the journey, and we have many other speakers who will be delving on who played what role, who provided what kind of funding support, who made this whole mission really get the kind of speed and scale that made it a success. But at the end of the day, I'm sure my honorable colleague and friend, Jairam, will also appreciate that people run many races. There are marathons run, there are sprints run, there are 100 meters, 200 meters, 42 kilometers, all sorts of races. But ultimately, one must also acknowledge that it's the
Your turn will
grit
come.
and determination that makes the winner win. But on the other point where he made a personal comment on me, well, I'm sure everybody is human and everybody can make mistakes.
Honorable members.
I may not be as infallible as Mr. Jairam Ramesh. He's of course infallible.
Please.
He has never made any mistakes in life.
Right.
I have very openly and in public acknowledged I made a mistake at that point of time in the rush of speaking. But I have not made the kind of colossal mistakes that my friend Jairam Ramesh has done when it comes to killing the development journey of India. In so many ways, my friends from Andhra and Telangana are still suffering for the irrational way in which, as the architect of the split of Andhra Pradesh, he left both countries, both states in trouble. I have not politicized it. I have not spoken about his failures when it comes to environment. I have not spoken about how he became an impediment to the very progress of the nation of infrastructure development. I think we can leave
Please,
that
no, take it. Honorable members, please. One second, I'll come to you. I'll come. Please take your seat. Please. Please, honorable members. I hope the comment I'm making now will be appreciated. The intellectual level of the House is very high. About 3 decades ago, I was in Rajya Sabha as a junior minister. A very distinguished member was making a scholarly address, as Jairam made. At that point of time, there was entry of another member. It is in the context of Leader of the House saying, I fully agree with him. I'm on that. So when that member entered, the speaker got worried that member will unsettle him. So immediately says, even my very good learned friend agrees with me, so that he doesn't say otherwise. And came the swift comment, Fools never differ. That was the comment. No, I said you have to understand, sir. I said it with apologetic mode. That if these two have agreed, we have to see in several perspectives. Mr. Jawar Sarkar, you'll take a time, sir.
Sir,
What did you say, sir? One second. One second.
Look at the rejoinder of the leader of the House
No.
after such a brilliant speech, bringing in Telangana and division of Andhra Pradesh.
Honorable
Sir, that's
members.
actually shameful.
One second. No, it is deleted. It is deleted.
Where is the shamefulness? Where is
Please.
the shamefulness? I
Use
think
it is
between two
deleted.
friends, don't come in the way of that.
The comment is not on record. And honorable members, after a long time, we had a good debate. After a long time, the people were informed. Maybe there is a political put which will be there both sides and all sides. But after a long time, we are on track. And therefore, we must appreciate it. My comment, light comment was in that direction only. Let us, please. No. I'll look into it. But all I'm saying is, after a long time, we have had some return to a situation where outside people will get some knowledge. They will get inspired. All sides. You want to say something, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Well, one of the greatest artists, and I have admired her for a long time, several decades. If she associates with sentiment, it's a great positive gain for all of us. Mr. Jawar Sarkar, and he brings on the table huge bureaucratic experience. Mr. Jawar Sarkar.
thank you, sir. As I can't see any clock, I hope my time starts now. Sir, the first point that I would like to make is across the House.
21 minutes.
We are Indians first, and as an Indian, we take immense pride in the Chandrayaan mission. We take immense pride in the scientific achievements of India, irrespective of what part of India we come from, what we represent. That is the first basic point that we have to remember. India is a continuum. India is eternal. And we cannot slice a part of India and say, this was my part and all the credit happened during this part. All the discredit happened during that part. We were all part of a continuum. When we talk of Chandrayaan, Mr. Jairam Ramesh has explained in great detail, the chair also has explained in great detail, the whole journey of Chandrayaan, and that it spans for 6 decades and more. Numerous individuals have contributed to it. Today is a time when we need to remember them. We need to celebrate the moment, but we also need to remember our history. We also need to celebrate history. So I'll begin with where Mr. Jairam Ramesh said, the great contribution of Pandit Nehru to the whole episode, to the whole journey. As Indians, no one can deny, I am not speaking parochially, no one can deny the immense contribution of the man who introduced scientific temper in India, the man who introduced all forms of scientific research, Vikram Sarabhai. We have come to a new house and there should be a new approach. Instead of only political leaders, we should celebrate the images, the statues of Vikram Sarabhai, of Abdul Kalam, of Homi Bhabha. These are the ones who took us to where we are. We have to admit that it is this, the great leadership, the great vision, the unending toil of Homi Bhabha, of Satish Dhawan, of Vikram Sarabhai, of Abdul Kalam, where we are today, where Abdul Kalam, where we are today. We also cannot acknowledge or disacknowledge or deny the role played by the Prime Ministers. The present Prime Minister must have surely contributed to this great journey, but that does not mean that earlier Prime Ministers who laid the path did not contribute and should not be forgotten. As an Indian, my heart leaps when I see our space launch vehicles propel these satellites of other countries and place them in space. We do a big favor to the rest of humanity, to other nations, and my heart leaps. But my heart is big. As an Indian, as a person who shares the timelessness of India, we should have a big heart. The big heart that not only takes space launch vehicles, take only satellites, but also propels ideas. Today, my heart leaps with joy for another reason. And the reason is that science is finally gaining over superstition. Science is finally gaining over superstition. We have to believe in both experimentation, in empiricism and evidence before we open our mouths. Before we open our mouths, we must think of the consequences of what we are saying. Experimentation, empiricism and evidence. How can someone say that Ganesha's head was placed by plastic surgery? We had his Chaturthi yesterday. We believe in the greatness of Ganesh. But how can you say that his head was placed by plastic surgery? How can you talk of stem cell surgery, stem cell science, bringing in a particular large section in the Mahabharata? You have to have both faith in something and a strong belief in rationality. Personally, I don't find any great conflict between a faith in something and rationality. Others may, I don't. As an Indian, I can move along with faith and I can also move along with rationality, but I would not ever like to see the date when faith, superstition and backwardness trample upon the fruits of science. We have the science minister who comes and says that we reject Darwin. We have another minister who comes and says we reject Einstein. For God's sake, if you reject science, you cannot celebrate science just because the timing was such. You cannot reap the benefits of a timing and then say. We had a science and technology minister who said we discovered the theories of Pythagoras before Pythagoras. For God's sake, you are a minister of the Republic, of great Republic of India. You cannot make these statements. Please refrain, the leaders. I beseech of you, please restrain them from making irresponsible statements. A vice chancellor of Andhra University talks about stem cell research. A chief minister talks of Mahabharata, talks of internet and space communication during the age of Mahabharata. Let us from this lesson, let us from this moment take an oath that before we make unscientific comments, we will restrain ourselves, we will stick to science so that we have many more Chandrayans, we have many more Adityas, we have a superior make in India. Since people were talking about contribution, a very important point that we need to remember is that this contribution of Chandrayaan reveals that it is the smaller technological colleges of India that are not in the limelight. Non-IITs, if I may put it bluntly, it is the non-IITs that have landed India into such a glorious position. We are feeding on IITs, but many of the products of IITs are going abroad to serve the interest of world capitalism. To serve the interest of world capitalism, to serve the interest of world domination. Why are we doing it? We need to shift our emphasis to our smaller colleges that have produced. Bengal, incidentally, has sent 31 in the ISRO. We could have said more about it. Now, when I mentioned about superstitions, I also come to two spoiler points. We have spoken about the greatness of ISRO, but we have not mentioned one word about the Devas Antriksh scandal. The Devas Antriksh scandal remains alive till today. A few months ago, the Delhi High Court has pronounced a judgment which will make you shiver. They say there is poison in the seed. The entire thing is a poisoned effort. It doesn't matter to me which regime did it. No regimes get into such great detail. It doesn't matter. We should have closed this chapter. We should have punished them because we remain vulnerable to an international fraud of something like 30,000 crores. Why should we pay it? Just because some technocrat made a dirty deal. We talk of the NAMBI effect, we celebrate. We can celebrate science, we can celebrate the effects of science, we can celebrate our victories, but do not, as the chair has said, bring politics into it. This brings me to a point where I say that if you want to really move forward with more Chandrayans, with more Adityas, with more progress in this domain, free science. Free science. You have made science subservient to the rules of the bureaucracy. You have created departments and ministries of science where you have placed scientists, but the rules remain the same. The rules remain the same. You have to have a separate set of rules. You have to go in for faith. You have to allow them to function, not shackle them with bureaucratic rules. My heart leaps when I hear that India has joined the 6 nations for the National Quantum Mission. This National Quantum Mission will take India forward. Whether X regime stays or Y regime comes or the Z regime goes, it doesn't matter. This permanent contribution to the quantum mission will take India forward. We should move higher. We already have moved high on the innovation index. In the world over, they look at us to see how much we have innovated, not how much we have talked. How many patents have we filed? This is hard fact. And we have actually gone up, but we need to go further up. This is where the focus should be. The tragic point about Indian science is that even the budget of ISRO has been cut by 8%. The tragic point of Indian science, the tragic part of Indian science is that we do not contribute enough to R&D, research and development. It's an international shame. I am saying, Minister Sirs, it's an international shame because when we make claims, we must substantiate claims. Our contribution of the GDP to research and development is 0.65%, out of which 4% is contributed. 4% is contributed by the state sector, that is the government sector, and only 0.2% is contributed by the corporate sector in India. It is this same corporate sector that you have allowed a 4 lakh crore remission. I am repeating, you have remitted 4 lakh crores by way of taxes from 2019. What have you got in return? Can you make them contribute 0.5% more? 0.5% more? When we talk, this is the remission of income tax, what we call the corporation tax. By way of favors, I am repeating the point, that 12.5 lakh crores, I am repeating, 12.5 lakh crores of the bank customers' money has been evaporated, has been extinguished, has been written off to favor big corporates. A big corporate who belongs to a political party, who was also a member of this House, has got away with 5,000 crores. 5,000 crores of remission yesterday. My submission, madam, my submission is not politics. My submission is that this is the type of money This is the type of money that could get in to help the science sector with more funding. That is all. All I'm saying is don't talk of lack of resources. Say that we have resources. They have gone in the wrong directions. But now that we are conscious of our capabilities in science and technology, in industry, in Make in India, let us put more money in research and development. And where do we get the money from? I have mentioned already the 5,000 crores that has been remitted. Do not permit these things to go on. We have had a long discussion on the space mission. We have had an erudite discussion by Jairam Ramesh, by the Honorable Chair, by the Leader of the House. I thank all of you, but we should have found time not only for space and the moon, but also for Manipur. We have had no time at all to discuss Manipur. With these words, I thank you and I support the resolution in favor of congratulating Indian science as a whole for several generations.
Thank you. Sri Trachui Subha.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I am very proud to participate in this discussion of India's glorious space journey marked by successful soft landing of Chandrayaan-3 on the moon, as a citizen of India and not of Bharat. Really, it's a proud moment. The whole world is celebrating. Chandrayaan-3 has landed in the moon very softly, and the lander and rover are doing their works very softly. But we landed in this new parliament building and only turmoil and turbulence are seen for the past 2 days. That is moon and this is parliament. Very happy moment that India is the first country to have landed in the south pole of the moon, which is being celebrated across the world, though it stands for among the other countries who have reached the moon. After this successful mission, India's space industry, exploration industry is being talked much about in a big and proud way across the world. And the Indian spacecrafts are being considered and seen as milestones of this sector. All this credit goes to the team of the ISRO. The relentless pursuit, the dedication, and their passion has made this country globally very famous. And I don't want to repeat what Mr. Jairam Ramesh told or Mr. Sarkar spoke here. Yes, the history is very long. And Vikram Sarabhai, who has to be recollected at this moment, started the ISRO journey from a church. The church gave its praying space for Vikram Sarabhai to launch his first rocket when he was searching for a suitable space. So for this, no caste, no religion, no anything, it is India. And India has traveled a long way, and now we are reaching to heights which is being appreciated. So very importantly, I want to make here something very emphatically. The mission director of this Chandrayaan-3, which is being very much celebrated, is Mr. Veera Muthuvel. He is from Viluppuram, Tamil Nadu, where our finance minister has also studied schooling. And he studied in a government school. He went to Coimbatore and did his engineering in Lakshmi Engineering. And then he came to Tiruchi, to my place, and did his NIT. And now he is considered to be a very shining example for all the aspiring scientists and engineers who are indulged in aerospace. And added to that is Chandrayaan-2. It is one Vanitha Muttaya. She is from Chennai, very ordinary, humble family. She also studied from a government school, studied in various engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu, and now she was the project director of Chandrayaan-2. And Chandrayaan-1, Mailsamy Annadurai, who is called as the Moon Man, he was the first one. 1969, Apollo landed in the moon with Armstrong, but they returned. But it was the mission of Mailsami Annadurai, which came with the result that there is water is available in the moon and that is being held across the world. He is responsible for 60 satellites which have been successfully launched by the ISRO. He is also from a very humble family. He studied in a government school and have achieved. And now the Aditya #1, Aditya 1, going to explore the sun. The mission director is one, Nisha Shaji Sultana from Sengote of Tamil Nadu, southern end of Tamil Nadu. She also is from a very humble family and she studied in a government school and did her engineering. So what has been established by all these things means, to achieve something, a person need not study in a government school, a person need not go abroad to get their education. And all these students and all these engineers who have succeeded are from Tamil medium school. And their second language is only English. So to reach the space, Veera Muthuvel, the successful mission director of Viluppuram, started from Viluppuram and landed in the moon without Hindi and Sanskrit. So we are very proud to say, these scientists have not only taken the position of India globally, that India's ISRO space exploration is par excellence than the developed countries. So also they have established even persons from ordinary family who are expertised in their own mother tongue and having English as their link language can successfully achieve many things. So this is a very, very important thing we have learnt in this, and we have to compliment every one of the scientists. Sivan, who was the former chairman of ISRO from Kanyakumari, and now the chairman, Mr. Somnath, all have made us very proud. And this parliament, cutting across the political parties, as I said, as citizens of India and responsible members of parliament, and I from DMK party, Veera Muthuvel was immediately called and being appreciated by our Chief Minister, M.K. Stalin, after the mission was successful. So we, as members of parliament, with all responsibility and with proudness, let us compliment and congratulate the team of ISRO for having taken India globally to a very, very remarkable place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shri Sandeep Kumar Pathak.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद चेयरमैन सर। आज मैं पूरे देश को बधाई देना चाहता हूं इस बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण सफलता के लिए, और सबसे ज़्यादा उन वैज्ञानिकों को और उन लीडर्स को जिन्होंने इस पे कंट्रीब्यूट किया है। आपको ये बताना चाहूँगा कि स्पेस मिशन की शुरुआत स्वतंत्रता से बहुत पहले हो गई थी। कलकत्ता में प्रोफेसर मित्रा थे, C.V. रमन साहब थे, और आते आते स्वतंत्रता के बाद फिर विक्रम साराभाई और होमी भाभा, इन लोगों ने एक ऐसी लीडरशिप, साइंटिफिक लीडरशिप की नींव रखी जो आने वाले समय में आज इसरो का जो आज स्वरूप देखने को मिल रहा है, उसका एक प्रमुख कारण थे। 1960 में ही सबसे पहले इंडियन नेशनल कमेटी बनी थी, बाद में फिर उसका नाम इसरो किया गया था, जो जयराम जी ने बड़े डिटेल्ड में इसके बारे में बताया है, उस पर मैं नहीं जाऊंगा। लेकिन ये जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि इसरो सबसे पहले डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी के अंडर आती थी, और बाद में फिर उसको डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ साइंस में बनाकर अलग किया गया, और होमी भाभा को उसको सेक्रेटरी बनाया गया, और विक्रम साराभाई जो साइंटिस्ट थे उनको इसका प्रमुख बनाया गया इस इंस्टीट्यूट का। ये सबको जानना चाहिए कि 10 इंस्टीट्यूशन के बिल्ड होने के 10 साल के अंदर ही सबसे पहला सैटेलाइट इसरो ने लॉन्च कर दिया था, जो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी बात है। 20 साल होते होते जो सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल होते हैं, इंडिया ने वो तैयार कर लिया था, और 20वें साल के पहले ही अपने खुद के व्हीकल से अपने सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करने शुरू कर दिए थे। GSLV, PSLV ऐसे लॉन्च व्हीकल हैं जिसमें देश के ही नहीं, दूसरे देशों के भी जो सैटेलाइट है उसको अंतरिक्ष में स्थापित करने का काम कर रही है, विदेशों के उनके लिए भी। प्रश्न आज ये नहीं है, मूल प्रश्न को समझना पड़ेगा। मूल प्रश्न क्या है कि भारत ने स्पेस साइंस में इतना अच्छा कैसे कर लिया। आज कई सारे दूसरे संस्थाएं हैं, दूसरी संस्थाएं हैं, उन दूसरी संस्थाओं को क्या हुआ, वो कहां पीछे रह गए। इसरो ने ऐसा क्या, भारत ने ऐसा क्या किया स्पेस के क्षेत्र में जो इतना आगे कर लिया। सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज होती है एक व्यक्ति, मैं भी साइंटिस्ट हूं, मैंने राजनीति में आने से पहले साइंस किया है, मैं अच्छी तरह से समझता हूं इस बात को। किसी एक साइंटिस्ट से ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण होता है संस्था, और उससे भी महत्वपूर्ण होता है उस संस्था को बनाने वाले लीडरशिप की। आज संभव है कि हम सबके राजनीतिक मूल्य और राजनीतिक रूप से एक दूसरे से मतभेद हो सकते हैं, लेकिन आज अगर पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू को याद नहीं किया गया तो वो बेमानी होगी। आपको मैं याद दिला दूं, आजादी के बाद हमारे देश की परिस्थिति ऐसी थी कि कई जगहों पर खाने के लिए पर्याप्त अन्न भी नहीं थे। जब देश में पर्याप्त अन्न भी नहीं था, उस समय कोई व्यक्ति कैसे यह सोच सकता है कि पैसा स्पेस साइंस में लगाना है। राजनीतिक रूप से उनको बहुत विरोध हुआ होगा निश्चित रूप से, लेकिन उन सारे विरोधों को अलग रखते हुए उन्होंने अपनी राजनीतिक दूरदृष्टता और स्पष्टता दिखाई। इसको कहते हैं लीडरशिप। उन्होंने ऐसी लीडरशिप, आज अगर आप देखें कि भारत में और पाकिस्तान का सबसे, जहां भारत है और जहां पाकिस्तान है, उसका मूल कारण क्या है कि भारत को आजादी के बाद पहले प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू मिले और पाकिस्तान को पहले प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में जिन्ना मिले। यही एक दो मूल कारण है कि पाकिस्तान आज कहां है और भारत आज कहां है। हमारे कई सारे मतभेद हो सकते हैं, जरूरी नहीं है कि हम हर चीज में सहमत हो, लेकिन साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में जो नेहरू जी ने जो काम किया उसको पूरे देश को, पूरा देश उसको मानती है, और उनकी लीडरशिप को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हम सबको अनवरत रहना होगा। आपको फिर विजन क्या था जब ये इसरो को बनाए? विजन ये नहीं था कि छाती पीट पीट के दूसरों को अपनी ताकत का एहसास कराना है। विजन ये नहीं था कि अपने आप में ताकत एकत्रित करना है। विजन ये था कि साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी को जनमानस के हित में कैसे उपयोग किया जाएगा। यही एक उद्वेलित और अंडरलाइन रीजन था जिसके कारण नेहरू जी ने इस पर भरोसा दिखाया था। आज जितने भी आप देखते हैं, चाहे मौसम विभाग से संबंधित जानकारी हो, कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी हो, और कई सारे क्षेत्रों में स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी ने जो कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया है, उसके कारण ही आज दूसरे साइंस के क्षेत्र में भी हम आगे बढ़ पाए हैं आज के। लेकिन यह भी देखना पड़ेगा कि क्या नेहरू जी अकेले कर पाते वो? क्या राजनीतिक परिस्थितियां अकेले अलाउ करती? संभव नहीं है। सरदार पटेल जी भी थे, उन्होंने देश में उस समय राजनीतिक स्थिरता लाई। अंबेडकर भी थे जिन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इस देश को एक ऐसा महान कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दिया। तो एक टीम वर्क होता है, किसी भी देश के विकास के लिए टीम वर्क सबसे महत्वपूर्ण होता है, जो आज मुझे लगता है गैर राजनीतिक दलों में भी और अपने खुद के राजनीतिक सभी दलों में भी इस तरीके की टीम वर्क का अभाव है। विजन बड़ा साफ था कि साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग देश के हित के लिए करना है। एक और महत्वपूर्ण चीज है, नींव का पत्थर अगर सीधा लगता है तो बाकी के पत्थर भी सीधे लगते जाते हैं और दीवार सीधी होती है। अगर नींव का पत्थर ही टेढ़ा लग जाए तो कोई कोशिश कितनी भी कर ले, दीवार फिर सीधी नहीं होती है। इसलिए हमारे पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स की, जिनमें नेहरू जी तो शामिल थे ही, उसके बाद इंदिरा गांधी जी ने भी बहुत कंट्रीब्यूट किया, फिर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने भी जो कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया वो अभूतपूर्व था। आप सबको पता होगा कि चंद्रयान पहला, जब चाइना ने अपनी एक स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी लॉन्च की, तब अटल बिहारी जी ने इसरो के साइंटिस्ट को यह कहा था कि भाई इसका कुछ करो, हमें भी कुछ इस पे अच्छा करना है। तब जाकर चंद्रयान प्रथम की परिकल्पना की गई। चंद्रयान प्रथम, चंद्रयान द्वितीय और फिर जाकर चंद्रयान तृतीय की उत्पत्ति हुई और उस पर सफलता मिली। कहने का यह मतलब है कि इस पूरे देश की कलेक्टिव लीडरशिप ने एकजुटता दिखाई और स्पष्टता दिखाई कि हमें इस दिशा में अग्रसर रहना है। यह भी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है। कोई भी देश आप देख ले जो विकसित है, ऐसा क्या कारण है कि देश विकसित है और ऐसा क्या कारण है कि कुछ देश अविकसित है या विकासशील है? उसका प्रमुख कारण यही है कि जिन जिन देशों में राजनीति देश के मुद्दों पर नहीं खेली जाती है, वही देश आगे बढ़ता है। कोई भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी तो आते रहेंगे, आज एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, कल दूसरी आएगी, कल तीसरी आएगी, फिर कल चौथी आएगी। प्रश्न यह है कि देश से संबंधित मुद्दों पर राजनीति होनी चाहिए। जो भी देश आज विकसित है वो ऐसे मुद्दों पर राजनीति नहीं करते। जैसे मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि इस मुद्दे पर स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी में किसी भी सभी राजनीतिक दलों ने आज तक भी प्रधानमंत्री ने जो कहा सभी ने अपनी एकजुटता दिखाई है। इसलिए अगर विकसित देश बनना है तो नारे देने से काम नहीं होगा, सिर्फ स्लोगनियरिंग करने से काम नहीं होगा। विकसित अगर बनना है तो उसके लिए उस तरीके की व्यवस्था बनानी पड़ेगी। हम जब भी बात करते हैं ऊपर ऊपर की बात करते हैं, हम ये कर देंगे वो कर देंगे, फलाना ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा, लेकिन कैसे होगा? कैसे होगा? कैसे होगा? जब तक आप आधारभूत चीजों पर डेलिब्रेट नहीं करेंगे, व्यवस्था नहीं बनाएंगे, चीजें आगे नहीं बढ़ सकती है। दूसरा प्रश्न यह उठता है कि बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस है, DRDO है, IITs है, IIMs है, बहुत सारे रीजनल इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस हैं, बहुत सारे हमारे देश में मुझे लगता है सबसे ज्यादा सरकारी रिसर्च वाले इंस्टीट्यूशंस है। ऐसा क्या कारण हुआ कि इसरो विकसित हो गया और बाकी के इंस्टीट्यूट, भाई पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप तो उस समय भी थे, सबके लिए समान थे, फिर इसरो ही विकसित हुआ और बाकी के इंस्टीट्यूशन क्यों नहीं हुए? उसका एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कारण यह भी था कि साइंटिफिक लीडरशिप भी इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। इसरो के लिए, इसरो को जो लीडर मिले विक्रम साराभाई के रूप में और होमी भाभा के रूप में, उनके साइंटिफिक लीडरशिप ने भी जो नींव का पत्थर रखा, उसके कारण इसरो आज यहां तक पहुंची। आप एक चीज और देखिए, वर्क कल्चर किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए सबसे महत्वपूर्ण होता है। अगर उस इंस्टीट्यूशन का वर्क कल्चर सही है तभी इंस्टीट्यूशन आगे बढ़ेगा। अगर वर्क कल्चर खराब हो गया तो चाहे आप चले जाओ, मैं चले जाऊं, दुनिया का कोई भी व्यक्ति चला जाए, ना उसको इधर कर सकता है ना उसको उधर कर सकता है। वर्क कल्चर को ठीक करना पड़ेगा। तो वर्क कल्चर में ऐसा क्या हुआ इसरो में? इसरो में जहां तक मेरी थोड़ी समझ है, मेरे कई सारे मित्र भी वहां पे काम करते हैं, वहां पर डिलीवरी बेस्ड टारगेट्स होते हैं, डिलीवरी बेस्ड टारगेट होते हैं। वहां पर मेरिटोक्रेसी पे सबसे ज्यादा ध्यान दिया गया है। भाई आप साइंटिस्टों की जब भर्ती करते हो, साइंटिस्टों को लेते हो, तो जिस तरीके से आप उनकी भर्ती करते हो, जो मानसिकता है वो आधार बनाती है। तो इसरो की जो वर्क कल्चर है वो बहुत सर्वोत्तम है हमारे देश में। अब प्रश्न ये उठता है, ये तो जान गए कि इसरो का ठीक है, लेकिन क्या उस वर्क कल्चर को दूसरी संस्थाओं में लाने का हमने प्रयास किया है? क्या हमने कभी ऐसी कमेटी बनाई है कि हम बाकी के दूसरी जो सरकारी संस्थाएं हैं वो क्यों फेल हो रही है? मैं फेल हो रही है नहीं कहना चाहूंगा, लेकिन अगर आप उम्मीद से कम परफॉर्म करते हो तो हमें उसको फेल मानना पड़ेगा। क्या आपने ये सोचा है कि हमारे देश में कितने सरकारी रिसर्च के इंस्टीट्यूशन है, उसको कितनी फंडिंग जाती है और फंडिंग के हिसाब से कितने साइंटिस्ट है, कितने साइंटिस्ट है, क्या आउटपुट है? बहुत सारे ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूशन है जहां पे आउटपुट बिल्कुल जीरो है, फिर भी वो चले जा रहा है। सरकारी, हमारे गांव में ये कहा जाता है कि सरकारी नौकरी बहुत अच्छी होती है। आप पूछोगे कि भाई सरकारी नौकरी में क्या है, तो वो कहते जी वहां काम करना नहीं पड़ता है। मैं गलत कह रहा हूं, हो सकता है मैं कई लोगों से, आप मेरे से असहमत हो, लेकिन सरकारी संस्थाओं की यह परिस्थिति हो गई है कि उसको अब ऐसा जगह माना जाता है कि वहां पे काम करना नहीं पड़ेगा। अगर सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन के वर्क कल्चर को ठीक नहीं किया गया समय रहते, तो यह मानना कि भारत विकसित होगा वो एक दिवा स्वप्न होगी। और सिर्फ भाषण से, सिर्फ श्लोक, किसी के भी, मेरे से भी, मैं राजनीतिक दलगत में उतरकर इस इतने महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे को विशिएट नहीं करना चाहता हूं। आप वर्क कल्चर को ठीक करना पड़ेगा और इसके लिए सबको मिलकर काम करना पड़ेगा। मैं IIT में, कैम्ब्रिज, ऑक्सफोर्ड, MIT में पढ़ने के बाद मैं IIT में प्रोफेसर था, मैं भी साइंटिस्ट था। साइंटिफिक जो फंडिंग है वो धीरे धीरे कम होती जा रही है। मैं मान सकता हूं कई सारी परिस्थितियां होंगी अलग अलग, वही तो लीडरशिप का परिचायक होता है। जब आपको कष्ट होता है, जब आपके पास कम पैसे होते हैं, तो कम पैसों में आप किसको कितना फंड करते हो और आपकी प्रायोरिटी क्या है, वही दर्शाता है कि लीडरशिप क्या है। जब आपके पास पूरे पैसे हैं, पर्याप्त पैसे हैं, तो सबको बराबर बांटना ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है। प्रश्न यही उठता है कि हम साइंटिफिक फंडिंग्स को धीरे 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 क्यों काटते जा रहे हैं? हमें बैठना पड़ेगा, हमें सोचना पड़ेगा और इसको दलगत राजनीति से ऊपर उठाना पड़ेगा कि कोई भी सरकार आए, कोई भी पार्टी आए, इन सब पर राजनीति बिल्कुल नहीं होनी चाहिए। सबसे महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न है कि हम बार बार ये कहते हैं कि ब्रेन ड्रेन हो रहा है, ब्रेन ड्रेन हो रहा है। मैं भी था विदेशों में 9.5 साल, 10 साल तक मैं बाहर था। मेरे मस्तिष्क में ये क्लियर था कि मुझे भारत में आना है और जो मर्जी हो जाए मैं अपने देश के लिए काम करूंगा। लेकिन मेरे से भी अच्छे अच्छे साइंटिस्ट हैं जो मेरे से भी ज्यादा अच्छा कर सकते हैं, वो विदेशों में रुके। उनमें से कई वापस आए, कई वापस आके चले गए। चेयरमैन सर वापस आके चले गए। मैं आपको एक उदाहरण देता हूं। जब आप विदेश से अच्छी पढ़ाई करके साइंटिस्ट बन के यहां आते हो, साइंटिस्ट बनने के बाद आप क्या चाहोगे? भाई उसे लेबोरेटरी चाहिए। बिना लेबोरेटरी के साइंटिस्ट वैसे ही होता है जैसे बिना पानी के मछली और बिना भाषण का नेता। साइंटिस्ट को आप 2-2, 3-3 साल बिना लेबोरेटरी के अगर आप छोड़ दिए तो साइंटिस्ट 2 साल में उसके काम करने की चेष्टा, उसकी सारा साइंस सब धरा का धरा रह जाता है। फिर 2 साल के बाद वो एक सरकारी नौकर बन जाता है। 2 साल बाद सिर्फ उसकी ये टेंशन रहती है कि मेरे को नौकरी कैसे बचानी है, प्रमोशन कैसे मेरा हो जाए, जैसे तैसे जुगाड़ तुगाड़ करके काम कर लो, काम करके भाई प्रमोशन हो जाए, तनख्वाह तो फिक्स है। मैं किसी के विरुद्ध नहीं कह रहा हूं, मैं वर्क कल्चर की बात कर रहा हूं। तो एक तो कोई वैज्ञानिकों के लिए आपको बेसिक मूलभूत जो सुविधा है वो करानी पड़ेगी। अगर आप ये नहीं करा पाते, अगर हम ये नहीं करा पाते हैं, तो ये सोचना कि देश विकसित होगा, ये दिवा स्वप्न होगा। हम वहीं के वहीं बैठे रहेंगे और ताली बजाते रहेंगे। एक और चीज है मेरिटोक्रेसी। मुझे यह लगता है कि साइंस, विज्ञान, साइंटिस्ट का रिक्रूटमेंट, इनको अपने देश में लाना, यहां पे उनको अच्छे तरीके से प्लेस करना, ये सबकी जिम्मेदारी होती है। अगर हम अच्छे साइंटिस्ट लाकर उनको रिटेन नहीं कर पाए, अच्छे वर्क कल्चर नहीं दे पाए, तो मुझे लगता है सारी सेलिब्रेशंस बेमानी होगी। हमने एक इसरो तो बना लिया, लेकिन सवाल एक इसरो होने से पर्याप्त नहीं है। हमें अपने देश को अगर विकसित बनाना है तो सारे सरकारी इंस्टीट्यूशन और प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशंस में वर्क कल्चर को ठीक करना पड़ेगा। और ये ऑटोमेटिक नहीं होगा, इसके लिए पॉलिटिकल, हर चीज में हमें लगता है कि यार इस पे पॉलिटिक्स मत लाओ, इस पे पॉलिटिक्स मत लाओ, लेकिन अगर पॉलिटिक्स नहीं लाओगे तो कुछ सुधरने वाला नहीं है। इसलिए पॉलिटिक्स लेकर आओ, लेकिन अच्छी पॉलिटिक्स लेकर आओ। अच्छी पॉलिटिक्स लेकर आना है, हम सबको लेकर आना है, अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूशन बनाना है। एक बार फिर मैं बधाई देता हूं इसरो के साइंटिस्ट को और देश के उन सभी साइंटिस्ट को जो कम सुविधा के बावजूद इतना प्रयास कर रहे हैं। और मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि ऐसे चीजों पर दलगत राजनीति से ऊपर उठकर देश हित में ऐसे काम करें जो भारत को, भारत माता को विकसित और सर्वोच्च बनाए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह।
Thank you, Chairman, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I have been keenly listening to all these speakers, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, Mr. Prasad, Mr. Sandeep Pathak, and Shivaji. Mr. Jairam Ramesh is quite well versed with the subject. We respect him for his studiousness. He has tried to also place some of the facts before the House, and in between try to also talk politics and science, which I shall respond in the course of few minutes, not in very big philosophical platitudes as he did, but in statistical data. Because as students of science, we are taught to speak with facts, figures, and evidence. But before I do that, and leave some thought for him to go home and ponder about, I seek your kind indulgence. प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व की सरकार के मर्यादा के अनुकूल आपकी यदि अनुमति हो तो गैलरी में बैठे एक हमारे सज्जन हैं, वो अगर खड़े होकर के अपना चेहरा दिखाएंगे सदस्यों को तो अच्छा लगेगा। मिस्टर वीरा मुथुवेल, the project director of Chandrayaan, ladies and gentlemen. You have celebrated Chandrayaan, you have seen Chandrayaan, you have sung Chandrayaan, but this is the culture under the government headed by Prime Minister Modi. With all the patronage and support from all the quarters in the government, this team works in anonymity. And if even there was an iota of politics, it would not have been so. It would have been otherwise. He is not a dynast. He is not there by virtue of being a member of any family. He is there and he doesn't even boast to be there. And his appointment was made by the present government. to oversee Chandrayaan 3, the series of which started with Chandrayaan 1, the clearance of which was given by then Prime Minister Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and the third of series happening under Prime Minister Modi. Now, before I go to I'll give you full strategy, enough food for thought, but I will not create an unpleasant taste for the House. So let's first celebrate what it is. I think we are first here to celebrate the science and the scientists. If you go back and see the pictures in the archives, Sarabhai carrying launcher vehicle on the bicycle carriage. Who was the Prime Minister at that time? Which was the government at that time? सभापति जी, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों में कभी प्रतिभा की कमी ना थी, योग्यता की कमी ना थी, निष्ठा भी थी, मेहनत करने का जज्बा भी था, आंखों में सपने भी थे, और कुछ ना होते हुए भी कर गुजरने का साहस था, लेकिन अभाव था अनुकूलता का, और वो अभाव अब पूरा हुआ। ये ठीक कहा गया। अब ये जो आंकड़े बताए गए, दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ द हिस्ट्री, आई डोंट थिंक वी हैव टू रिपीट इट, एवरीबडी इज फेमिलियर। यू डोंट इवन नीड अ crorepati question for this. Everybody knows it started in 1962. It began in 1969. You had the ISRO. All that has been given. What is important is that when we started our program in the early and mid-60s, on the one hand, you had Sarabhai, devoid of transport, and on the other hand, you had Soviet Union and United States preparing to land a human being on the surface of moon. So that was the gap, that was the difference and the distance between the two. And still, this group of young scientists had that courage. Now, what has happened which has led to this quantum leap? Something might have happened. कोई जादू की छड़ी आ गई। हमारे मित्र कह रहे थे कि वैज्ञानिकों को पैसा नहीं दिया जाता, प्रोत्साहन नहीं दिया जाता। उसकी भी मैं बात करूंगा एक एक करके। शायद कुछ एक हाल ही के दस्तावेजों से वो परिचित नहीं है। कुछ तो ऐसा हुआ होगा that we started meeting success now and not then. 3 generations later, इन्होंने कहा कि this is not a military program. ठीक कहा जयराम जी ने, and he complimented for not making it a military program. The question then is, if it was not a military program, then why were the civilians debarred from entering into the premises of Sriharikota? And you had regimented it. It is for the first time that the gates of Sriharikota have been unlocked in 2020. Who was the Prime Minister at that time? I am not going to say. Because this debate is not around Prime Ministers. Unfortunately, it has been sought to be. No, you made it. You made it a Nehruvian debate. I don't want to go into Nehruvian blunders. I am not going into that at all, because I said, with all honesty, we'll talk in facts, figures, on the basis of evidence. We don't even need to name the Prime Minister. I am not naming anybody. But this happened only in 2020. At the time of launching of Chandrayaan, Chairman Sir, there were thousand media persons right at the site watching it with their naked eye. Somebody tweeted from that side, I don't know whether it was Jairam ji himself, कि what is the difference, क्या बड़ा हो गया. I was that time at that side. The landing had just happened 10 minutes earlier, and the media person confronted me. What do you say? ये आया उनका, वो भी विद्वान है. वो कह रहे हैं कि क्या फर्क पड़ा जो इतना शोर हो रहा है. I asked him, when did you come here last? He said, sir, first time. I said, that is the difference. No, this will tell you. अब बात तो आगे चलेगी। तो ये ट्वीट करने का क्या मतलब था? सुनिए बात को। You'll have to. Now the point is, the common man was debarred from even peeping inside the gates. This will address all that is being said. Now they are saying why they were kept away. You had kept the Space Department behind a wheel of secrecy. You had regimented it. You had disallowed it to be synergized with all these stakeholders. You had disallowed to the industry to indulge in this. And that is why the progress got halted. It took us 75 years to reach where we have reached. And that has happened after the quantum leap of the last few years. What has happened? Before 2014, there were 4 startups in space, 4. It is embarrassing to say. Between 2020 and today, there are 150 startups. Earlier ones have already turned into entrepreneurs like Skyroot and others. I'll come to, one of our friends spoke about the science at large, that also I'll come, but let's first celebrate what we are doing. Then it was said, engineering colleges, government engineering colleges, women colleges, this is what Sri Jairamji was saying. And he was saying, why you celebrate 5 IITs only? Thank God we celebrate. These were created by Nehru. But we have never said that our scientists are only from IITs. Even today, the gentleman I have introduced is not from IIT. None of them. And we have also celebrated women scientists, while Mr. Veera Muthul is the project director, the joint director is Kalpana. And of course, for Aditya, as T. Shivaji rightly mentioned, Nijar Sharji from Tamil Nadu. Now you have narrated entire history because you think you are addressing a house which hardly reads science, hardly reads space. So you score 1962, this happened, 1969, Sarabhai died. We know all those details. Sarabhai, I can give you even further details, how he died and what happened. He died from a myocardial infarction. There was a conference in the night, he didn't wake up in the morning. Then Satish Dhawan. No, you have spoken. You have spoken. You have spoken. I'm not yielding. What I'm trying to say is, you are trying to narrate a chronology. You are trying to narrate a chronology simply to subvert the facts. I'm coming to that.
Never from the seat like this.
I didn't interrupt.
Please, no, I don't give you floor.
No, I'm not yielding and I didn't
Please
interrupt.
take your seat. Please continue. No. Don't come in defense of Jairam. Jairam is nothing will go on record. Jairam is competent to defend himself.
I am narrating
and if
all.
there will be an occasion,
I am
I'll give
narrating
opportunity.
both what the past governments did as well as this government does. And I'm not naming the prime ministers. Everybody knows Sarabhai passed away unfortunately at the prime of his life. Satish Dhawan stepped in, and of course he had to, for legacy reasons, the headquarter continues to be in Bangalore. Now who knows Satish Dhawan more? Incidentally, he belonged to Jammu and Kashmir, which many of the friends here may not be aware. Nevertheless, that is besides the point. What I'm trying to say is, need not share these facts just to impose ourselves. Let's actually talk about the facts and figures. Now, when you say what is new, and as it was tweeted, the new is the budget itself. I'm going to come to the funding as a whole, but if you see only the government budget, if you see the space budget alone, there is a 142% increase in the last 9 years. The budget of Department of Space in 2013-14 was 5,168 crore and 96 lakh. You can check verify. The budget in 2023-24 for Department of Space is 12 crore 5,043 crore 91 lakh, nearly 13,000 crore, almost 3 times increase. Now for the friends who were generalizing, saying what is the science budget, I can give you individually. Overall, if you see all the science departments, the total budget in 2013-14 was 21,025 crore. This year, it is 57,303 crore and 69 lakh. I'm not going to the other departments of science because, for example, even in atomic energy, somebody was referring to atomic energy. It was 7,561 crore in 2013-14, and it is now up 3 times, 25,078 crore. 49. If you go for science and the Department of Science and Technology, it was 7,000 crore in 2013-14. To be precise, 7,051 crore, 74 lakh. Somebody can take down these figures and verify them. In 2023-24, it is more than twice, 16,361 crore and 41 lakh. Now, what more in funding? Our friend who claimed to be a scientist was bemoaning this. What earlier governments did not do and what this government has done. What he was trying to suggest is that we should make it more liberal for funding. Maybe he has not gone through because that day there was so much of din. Unfortunately, discussion could not happen when I brought in the National Research Foundation bill over here, the Anusandhan bill. I wish you were there, we could deliberate on that.
They were not interested. That
has precisely addressed what Honorable Member Mr. Pathak was mentioning, which could not be addressed by the earlier government successively in 75 years, has been addressed now. I'm not going to name who's the Prime Minister. Anusandhan National Research Foundation envisages almost 80% of funding from non-government sources. It was important for India, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Members, Honorable Chairman, sir, because if we have to grow globally, we have to live up to global parameters, we have to be ready for global challenges, and we have to beat them in the global strategies. America already had a foundation, I'm sure he must be aware, claiming that he is scientist from abroad, the National Research Society. Some of the European countries had, like Germany. Why didn't we have? Why did we have to wait 14 prime ministers? Why we waited for 14 prime ministers? Who will answer this? And this is all based on facts and figures. You can check it. Today, we have National Research Foundation in the form of...
We'll resume at 2 p.m. The House stands adjourned to meet at 2 p.m. today.
कि ये स्त्री की पूजा होती है यहाँ जहाँ देवी देवता वास करते हैं। जहाँ स्त्री के पूजा नहीं होती वहाँ सम्मान नहीं होता, वहाँ किए गए अच्छे कार्य भी नष्ट हो जाते हैं। महोदय, ये हमारी भारतीय संस्कृति रही है और सरकार के इस बिल के माध्यम से साबित कर दिया है कि संविधान में सम्मान लिंग भेद से वंचित नहीं किया जा सकता है। जहां महिलाओं देवी देवता के रूप में लोग पूजते हैं, काली दुर्गा के रूप में पूजते हैं, वही महिलाओं का सम्मान होता है। आज हमारे जो मोदी जी हैं, यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी देश के महिला के लिए जो काम किए हैं, सोचे हैं, 27 साल से बिल पड़ा हुआ, अंदर में लटका हुआ बिल जो पटल पर रखाया है, आज पास होने वाला है। मैं इस बिल को अपने पार्टी के तरफ से समर्थन करती हूं और एनडीए के तरफ से भी समर्थन करती हूं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नेक्स्ट स्पीकर श्रीमती सुप्रिया सुले जी।
Giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you, sir, for speaking. You're giving me this opportunity to speak on the Constitution 128th Amendment Bill 23. Sir, I stand on behalf of the Nationalist Congress Party in full support of this bill. But there are a few points that I would like to raise as seek clarification from the government. First of all, today when we read the newspaper, sir, this morning, there were two major points which were covered in every newspaper today. I don't want to go away from the spirit of the bill, but I would like to put a few things which are really critical in the nation today. Every newspaper today has complimented all the governments who have brought this bill at various times. But there is another small piece of information on every front page of the newspaper today, which is about the incidents that happened in Canada. So I think since this is a special session and it's only for 5 days, I request the government to debate a few topics which are equally relevant as today's. One is the Canadian issue. Yes. The second is Maharashtra today, the state which I come from, sir. Waha मराठा आरक्षण, धनगर आरक्षण, लिंगायत आरक्षण और मुस्लिम आरक्षण, ये चारों आरक्षण जैसे महिला आरक्षण का मामला बहुत ही अच्छा है, मैं तहे दिल से उसका स्वागत करती हूँ. उसी तरह
come to the bill, please.
Yeah, I'm just making up. This is just an introduction about आरक्षण. I'm not asking for this आरक्षण. I'm only saying कि मराठा, धनगर, लिंगायत और मुस्लिम आरक्षण का भी हमारे यहाँ बहुत बड़ा चल रहा है आज. तो उसके लिए भी अगर the government is open, we are very happy to debate it. The other problem is even about onions, inflation, drought, बहुत सारे important issues हैं. तो अगले 2 दिन में अगर ये ले ले तो हम सब सरकार का साथ देंगे. Sir, the Honorable Amit Shah ji, when he corrected one of his speakers, he was very graceful and he said, why can't men? भाई भी कर सकता है. जी हाँ, सही बात है. हर घर में ऐसे भाई नहीं होते जो बहन का सब अच्छा कल्याण देखते हैं. But that is very kind of him to say that. हर की तकदीर इतनी अच्छी नहीं होती. But फिर भी the men, I never say, I always say there are 2 wheels for a cycle to work. So men are equally important. And I would like to, about the men which has influenced our lives as women. It was B.R. Ambedkar who gave us a right to vote. It was Mahatma Phule, he made sure gave us education, and a woman like me stands here educated and qualified because of what he contributed. And the women policy which was first, I say that with extreme pride in my heart, that the women policy which was started by initiated in the Congress under the leadership of Shri Rajiv Gandhi. I was fortunate enough to say it's my father Sharad Pawar who in Maharashtra was the first state to implement Panchayat Raj 33% reservation. And it's about the girl child. I mean, Sunita Dugal ji was talking about the issues that women have. Fortunately, I was born in a very liberal home. My father and my mother, there was only one condition my father laid to my mother, that if we have a child, whatever the gender, it can be any gender, a girl or a boy, but we are not going to have more than one child. And I was born, and my father after that did the family planning, not my mother. So I really say this, it was 50 years ago, 5 decades, when nobody talked about Beti Padhao or Beti Bachao. I come from a family, and same is applicable to my friend Kanimoli. Her mother also chose to have only one child as her parents have had. So we come from these families. You also, Raja ji also has only one child, one daughter. So we are very lucky you also have one daughter. This is a great house where we are blessed that with decades we are genuinely liberal. We are not looking for one. There are many families which come from this kind of liberal modern thinking where we are not trapped into genders. Sir, this is a big social change that we came in. I would like to bring few points to notice, which I think Nishikant Dubey ji, the lead speaker, I mean, I don't get into the gender, so I'm not affected whether he led the debate from BJP or he did. But I want to ask some clarifications to BJP. I felt, these were my emotions, that BJP was taking anticipatory bail by making him lead from the front this time in the debate. The reason of the anticipatory bail was he was asking us all the questions which we have raised or which have come in newspapers or what people have said yesterday. He yesterday said, he said that, oh, ये तो ST, SC, OBC का अभी मांग करेंगे. क्यों नहीं मांग करेंगे? सरकार से हम लोग ऑपोजिशन मांग नहीं करेगी तो कौन करेगा? And why not? This is a great golden opportunity on 303. दे दीजिए. Nothing wrong. So why is it that we are only asking for something? बड़ा दिल करके आप ST, SC, OBC, let's make a constitutional amendment. It's a special session. Let's send a message to this nation that we are committed to ST, SC and OBC. What is wrong with that? And if they have a different view, BJP must clarify that stand. Another point, sir, which is very concerning with what he said was, he said that Geeta Mukherjee, Sushma Swaraj. He's absolutely right. I have high regard for Sushma ji in my heart. But what he mentioned, another person was Brinda Karaj ji. आपको याद होगा 2010 में Brinda Karaj ji also contributed substantially. There are a lot of women who did exceptionally well for bringing in this bill. No, I'm not yielding.
Please, please.
The whole history is that Pramila Dandavate from Maharashtra, Rajya Sabha में आती हूँ, Pramila Dandavate 1996 got the first private members bill, and women like Mrunal Gore, Ahilya Rangnekar, Geeta Mukherjee, Margaret Alva. I was fortunate enough that Nitish Kumar ji, Girja Vyas, Sharad Pawar, Sushma Swaraj, Mamta Banerjee, Meera Kumar, Uma Bharti ji were all the people who were in those bills who contributed to making sure this bill came into light, sir. I have a few questions
Supriya
to ask.
Sule ji.
Just 2 questions I have to ask.
Yes,
Very short, sir. I will ask the government. So I'm concluding, sir. Just started. Yeah, and that too is our bill.
Please don't make such
I have a
comments.
question to ask him, Nishikant ji, for one more. He said that we are on a side, India is on a side of people who ran women down and spoke derogatorily. I would like to ask the BJP, and this is my own case. This is not somebody else's case I'm fighting for. The BJP had a head who was the head of the BJP in Maharashtra. He told me personally on record on television that Supriya Sule, घर जाओ, खाना बनाओ, देश कोई और चला लेगा, हम लोग चलाएंगे. This is what the BJP's mindset is. Another minister in their cabinet has used a derogatory word against me. So BJP जवाब दो, जब हमारा कुछ कह रहा है तो इंडिया